Welcome back to The Line Table. An article by Shelby Perea of the Albuquerque Journal has a lot of people talking about rules surrounding the administration of medical cannabis. An Albuquerque preschooler with a severe form of epilepsy takes doctor-recommended cannabis oil in the morning, at lunch, and in the late afternoon to control her chronic seizures. She goes to Petroglyph Elementary School, the preschool program, and will be a kindergartner next year. But her mom has to take her out of school and drive off the grounds to administer her doses. State law prohibits medical cannabis on school grounds because even though such a treatment is legal in New Mexico, any kind of marijuana, Dee, is illegal under federal law. And at APS, students can have their prescribed or over-the-counter drugs given to the school, put in a little locker, and then given out by the nurses, and this is what this mom's looking to do here. Doesn't seem like that difficult of a problem. So what's the issue here?
I think we need some common sense here. Yeah. If kids can get insulin during the day for diabetes, they ought to be able to use a substance that is legal in New Mexico, medical marijuana. And I'm not sure that it is part of state law that it cannot be dispensed in a school. It's probably part of regulations from either the health department or APS. And that's something that I believe needs to be changed so that, once again, this is treated like a public health issue rather than a criminal justice issue, which we are stuck on and will be stuck on until we decriminalize marijuana nationally.
And state, just for clarity, Michael, state law does prohibit medical cannabis on school grounds and on school buses as well. So there's a lot of weird gray area here. You know, other schools just have a drug-free policy, but should it apply to just recreational and prescription drugs? Do you see what I mean? Is there a difference here in your view with CBD and cannabis oils as opposed to others?
Well, to my way of thinking, there's a medical necessity here. I mean, and that should drive everything. I mean, the question is, the question is, how can the systems that exist, medical care system, the educational system, best meet the needs of this child? And so why are people seeming to make it so challenging and difficult? And why can't the folks who have the knowledge and expertise just sit down and have a conversation as to what can be done rather than just building barriers and as to why it can't be done? I know some people are, you know, get caught up in the bureaucratic sort of world, and it's always easier to say no.
That's right.
Because that ends the conversation. You don't have to do anything. Whereas if you act in the affirmative and take on an issue, then you're committed to solving the issue and the problem. And I just wish people, again, going back to Dee's comment, a little common sense and maybe some professional courtesy and some an enlightened conversation as to how can we meet this child's needs.
That's a good point there. You know, Laura, it's not like this is some hippie mom sending her kid to school with, you know, weed brownies or something. This is.
I don't know if she's a hippie mom or not.
Well, that's true too. I should take that back. Nothing wrong being a hippie mom. If you're a hippie mom, you're okay here. But you know what I mean.
So
this is not. She's a responsible mom. She had the child on previous over-the-counter medications, and it did not work. So it's not as if she's just throwing, you know, some cannabis-related stuff in her kid's gullet just for fun and games here. This works for the child. So it seems like we have to find some resolution here for this poor mom and others like her.
Right, and I think that's the general sentiment from people, that something should be done. When you read the article and you understand the amount of challenges she has to, I mean, she has to sit in a parking lot for a couple of hours while her daughter's in this half-day program in case she has a seizure, to be able to go in and administer this off of school property. I mean, just the logistics of that alone is unbelievable. But, you know, I think this is another example of the law not catching up to society yet. We clearly have an instance where there's, I don't think anybody would disagree that this is a legitimate use of this therapy, of this substance, and something that helps the child. And obviously she needs this to function, just as she would if it was over-the-counter medication. But the law hasn't caught up to that. And I think from the school district's perspective, they need to follow the law. I mean, that's unfortunately they don't have the discretion to be able to just say, sure, we're going to make an exception here. The law is what it is, and they have the policies for that reason. And I think we're still in that developing stage with regard to marijuana, where at the federal level it is still illegal. At the state level, obviously, many states have, especially for medical use, have expanded their laws. But when it comes to the school districts, a lot of that law really hasn't caught up to accommodate situations like this. So I think the schools are in a difficult position. They have to be conservative by nature. I mean, and as an attorney who represents a lot of school districts, I mean, we have to follow the law. And the advice that they get is, you need to follow the law, and then you need to make policies that make sure that they uphold the law. But this is definitely an area where I think, as I think Senator Ortiz-Pino pointed out, and even some of the Republicans as well, Senator Purtle, both said that this is something that should be considered by the legislature in an interim committee and then addressed in the next session. And I think with a story like this, and there's got to be other people out there with a similar situation, there's bound to be support for this in the next session.
Interesting point there. I'm glad Laura brought that up. Jerry Ortiz-Pino, Senator Pino, saying there's a committee to get the first step going here. Is that appropriate in your view? Is this the first best place?
That's what they got to do.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's the first best place. It's the only place.
Gotcha.
It's kind of like dovetailing on the last topic we talked about. We've got, I think this is a greater problem in our country right now that I think is leading us down the road we're going. And that is, we don't want to hold people accountable, right? The law stinks, so let's go find a judge to rule against something and do something, when the reality is change the law. I was one of the first, if not the first Republican to vote to decriminalize marijuana in the state of New Mexico back in the mid-90s, early 2000s. And listen, I don't use it. But I see the medicinal values of this stuff. I also find it hard to believe that we're not going to let a doctor prescribe this type of medicine, but they can prescribe medicines that equal heroin and cocaine to people day in and day out. So the reality is, instead of us getting all fired up and saying, well, we'll do something for this young girl, which we should, by the way. As a parent, I don't think anybody would say the role of this mother is to sit in that schoolyard and wait for something negative to happen. But what we've got to do is we've got to hold these people. If the governor's the one that's not going to sign this law, and enough people in this state think that this should be done, this should be a huge topic for the people running for governor right now. And you should be asking them, what do you think about these things? Because the legislature can do all it wants, as the senator can tell you. It still gets to the governor's desk and gets vetoed. So, I mean, these types of things should be serious conversations. The people that are running for governor that I've had a chance to talk to, people on the D side that I've talked to, people that were talking about running on the R side, I'm asking them about this stuff because I think we've got to, as Laura said, we've got to catch up as a state. And I think the reason we have to catch up as a state is when enough states catch up, the feds are going to react.
That's right.
When 40 states say this is legal, it's a no-brainer for people and the president to say,
that's
right.
It's going to happen.
Right. And the sad part is, we had an opportunity back in the mid-90s, early 2000s, to be the leader.
That's right.
We punted on it.
That's right. Good point there. That's all the time we have for this week. Now, you can find that link to the Albuquerque Journal we referenced on our website, NewMexicoInFocus.org. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it.